Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M,
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
PKO was this weekend.
It was. Very successful event.
Very successful. It was a bit of a, what's the word here? Having basically, 24 hours to digest SEC Media Days and go right into PKO.
That's TexAgs Preseason Kickoff.
Sorry.
For those who were not there.
The acronym, PKO, the 16th annual PKO, Preseason Kickoff. So, by the way, brought to you by Game Day Suites Aggieland. Shout out to them for being a proud partner of TexAgs. They have some cool stuff going on. But coming off of SEC Media Days and going right into that was not a challenge. It was different, right? Like usually we have a little bit of a break.
A week.
Yeah. But it was great because we got Marcel. We got
Wilkin Formby,
Des Ricks. We got Mike Elko. We got Bucky. We got Michael Early. We got Trev. We got
they had
the Dreamweaver.
I think they had a player at almost everybody. I'm not say every table, but
pretty much.
Yeah, because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday when I was at breakfast, and he had Tyree Adams at his table. Talk about what a
gentleman,
nice young man he was.
Yeah, so
a large young man.
Yeah, he's not small, but it was fun. I wrote down a couple of takeaways from Elko's convo with Billy Liucci.
Okay,
and a couple things. They're not going to tell you the state secrets, right? We know that, but he did hit on things that just the exclamation point of why I like him as the head coach, why I really like him. I'm going to read you a couple of the parts of the quotes that he had. He says, "You should be extremely confident because at our best, we can beat anyone in the country, but we have a real challenge to be at our very best every step along the way, and that's not lost on us what this schedule looks like. We're going to have to elevate everything that we do to have the kind of success that we want." So that was basically part of the speech or the conversation point where he was like, hey, we can enjoy this. This is, Aggie fans are kind of scared to have too much fun because, what has happened in the past? This is not the past. We're doing things the right way. You can enjoy the process.
It's a real program.
It's a real program, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to, what was the other line in that quote?
So if you want to be really good at football, you come
to Texas A&M.
To a real program.
Anyway, I think that's exactly the facts.
What I like about that is Elko is not known for being overly optimistic, right?
Yeah, but not pessimistic either.
No, but he's not the type that's everything's going to be great all the time. In fact, I think Lucius said if you had to ask him if he's a
half empty
or half full guy, he's a half empty.
Yeah.
Like a lot of coaches are. They see a lot of coaches see the warts and not the entire, like you can look at Olin and say, hey, that's a good looking old guy, but they're not seeing the growth on my arm, right? Because it's hidden.
You can't unsee it when you see it.
Yeah, right. And then you go, and I wake up every day and I'm like, this is gross. So anyway, the point is when a guy who's kind of the glass is half empty guy says, hey, you know what, at our best, we can beat anybody in the country. And he's usually not prone to make that kind of comment.
But then he follows it up. But we have to be at our best every friggin' week.
So we're counting on Elko and his staff to get his players to play. They don't have to be at their best every week. I think they can probably be at their 3/4 best and get by Missouri State, right? It's not every week, but
every SEC week.
There's going to be 9 weeks.
10, let's say.
10 Arizona State that you got to be at your best.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
if you were in charge of making sure or trying to make sure a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old guys are at their best every week. You ought to get paid like $7 or $8 million for that. That's a big job.
I think that's the big job that he has.
Maybe
OB.
even more. Yeah.
So, and this goes back to something we've been talking about that I have said on this show several times. I believe in the brand that Coach Elko brings to the table, right? Like, so you could take away players, you can graduate guys, you can put guys in the NFL, but when you believe in the system and players believe in the system, then it is truly a reload. Because, and look, he's got to have to do it over and over for him to get to the level where he gets that support no matter what. Mm-hmm. But Georgia, you just know they're going to be fine. They may not win the national championship. They haven't won it since 2022. But you know, how many straight SEC championships do they have? 3, is it? 4?
I think they had 2. They were SEC championships.
Yeah. 3 or 4. But they're always there. Okay? Yeah. And it doesn't matter if Gunnar Stockton or whoever's there, guys go to the pros, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. They, like you said, they may not win a championship, but they're going to contend.
They're going to be in the mix every year, and they lose guys to the league all the time. It's the system in place, picking the right types of players. Another thing he said, which I don't know, I think I had that later for Billy, but I'll just say it out here. Like, he's not concerned about this number 1 recruiting class, right?
Right.
He wants to have the best guys that make the best roster for Texas A&M football, that are good citizens, that Aggies can be proud of.
Yeah, plus, by the way, we saw a couple of years ago how that goes. If you're not, and some guys may be talented, but don't bring other baggage, right? So he's trying to avoid the baggage. But yeah, A&M has not earned the cachet that Alabama had under Saban, who did, that Ohio State has, that Georgia has, where you just know every year. But I think they get more, I'm talking about nationally, they're getting the benefit of the doubt more. Like, oh, yeah, you know what?
They are.
And that's because of Mike Elko.
Well, put it this way. Can they beat Oregon? I want more than Oregon. But you kind of feel pretty good in this modern era of college football that Oregon's going to be in the mix every year, right? Dan Lanning has done a good enough job that you're like, you know what? They'll lose guys. They'll bring guys back. They're going to be competing for the Big Ten every year. They may not win it. They may be 2nd or 3rd or 4th. But you know that they are going to field a team that could be of that point late in the season.
Yeah, Phil Knight's done a great job.
He's done great, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has.
I do have the quote here. I could care less what the class gets ranked because of that. 2 things will happen. We probably won't finish number 1 because we won't do the things that we need to do to finish number 1, sell our soul, and we won't bring in the wrong type of kids.
And he's talking about number 1 in the recruiting class. Yeah. And another thing, like, I think Elko definitely, and probably really most coaches, but he's not too worried about being the number 1 recruiting class because you got to understand who's ranking those. I've worked with those guys.
They don't know.
They don't know. And so when you're Elko, you can see a guy and you'll see he may be a 3-star guy, but you can go, man, this guy is a freaking player. Anaya Smith, Eric McCoy, Johnny Manziel. He said, this guy's a freaking player. I don't need somebody up in Nashville or somewhere else telling me that this guy's not a good player.
I don't think you have had to have played the sport at the highest level to evaluate talent. But I do think most sports guys like ourselves are lazy when it comes to that. They're not watching film the way Brooks Austin does. Sorry, they're not.
Well, they may watch a lot of film. They just don't understand exactly what they're seeing sometimes, like Brooks Austin does.
Which is why we on this show, we don't, like, I think we're going to be good because of Elko. But that's...
Look, the guys, me, you, Gaither over there, all of us, there are certain guys you can watch and say,
yep,
that's a 5-star guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're watching a guy, and that's a 5-star guy, but you got to take into account of how quickly, how bodies develop at a different rate. And so if he's a 6'5", 280-pound kid in high school and he's dominating, then you look at the others, wait a minute, that tackle was just 220.
And let's not forget about development in this piece. And I'm going to give one. All right, and I'm not proud to admit this, but a couple years back, when E.J. Smith would get on the field, I was like, I don't know, dude. He was injured, by the way. He was injured, and that was part. But I could not wait to see him get on the field at the end of that 24 season and all last year.
Definitely his best year was his last year.
Yeah.
And, he wasn't going to start in front of Le'Veon. But when he got on the field, he ran hard, picked up, got that big first down against Arkansas, even though his blocker got blocked all the way back into the backfield, and he into him, but he bounces off and gets that clutch. E.J. Smith, if you didn't have Le'Veon out there, E.J. Smith was fine getting that tough yardage.
Absolutely. And
He played great on special teams, too.
When we talk about transfer portal wins, that's one we sometimes overlook because he did have Reuben and Le'Veon above him in the depth chart. That being said, that was an absolute steal and a win to have. And I guess that goes back to my point. People were not, yay, A&M, you got EJ, you got this, you got Cassius. They didn't know. People don't know.
Well, I've always said that one of the great aspects of having Mike Elko and his staff is that he's obviously done a great job of finding the under the radar or the diamond in the rough kind of guy. And I talk about Marcus Ratcliffe.
Yep.
I'm talking about Nate Bokacher and Tyler Onyedem and, like a Dayon Hayes. Did he come in and be all-American? No, but did he make a contribution?
He made an impact.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
And these aren't everybody can look at the very, top 10 guys or top 10% and say, oh, yeah, you got to have that guy, got to have that guy. And A&M got one when they got Nick Scorton. But it's the Armaje Reed Adams. It's those guys. It's Scooby. He and they do a fantastic job of finding that guy that maybe they see Tyler Onyedem playing defensive end in a 3-man front at Iowa State and being okay. And they're looking and saying, this guy's a defensive tackle.
We got something here.
And we can make him a third-round draft choice.
Hey, by the way, I forgot the name of this show.
Oh, man, this is TexAgs Live.
Thank you.
Who could forget that?
Yeah, and we're presented by who?
We're presented by
David
Gardner's Jewelers.
And we're where?
You can forget that, but you shouldn't.
Where are we?
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yeah, we are.
Jason, Jackson, Keith,
Morgan, and the boys.
The rest.
We did see a bunch of them.
We did.
Yeah, I saw Jason. I saw Jackson.
I saw Morgan.
I saw Morgan. I didn't see Keith. Keith, where are Keith, come on, man. What else? Oh, the Go Hour.
It is the Go Hour.
Presented by the who?
Warehouse and CC Creations.
Well, we were models for them the other day, weren't we?
We were.
Did you see the? Oh, you don't.
I'm doing the model. I'm always the before guy. This is what you look like before, but this is what you look like after. You're the after guy. I'm the before guy.
Well, sometimes after is bad. You get old and wrinkly and fat.
Guilty.
Okay, never mind. Let's move on. If you want to be a part of the conversation, there are two ways to do it. You pick the first way.
You can call us on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
That number is 979-693-1150. Thank you. I forgot about that. If you want to text the show, we switch the name. We call it the what?
The Catalyst Pure Performance Energy PPE text line. Same number.
Yeah, same number. 979 what?
693-1150.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go around the room. We go left to right. We go behind the glass, through the television. We say hi to the director of the year, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up, bud?
Well, my favorite thing we learned at PKO was that Elko did something about the run defense over the offseason. I'm just kidding. No. My favorite part about that event is, we hear it from Billy, we hear it from UOB in the press conferences and stuff like that. Maybe stuff that we don't see before they start. How funny and witty Elko is, and at PKO every year. He has been able to display that, and it's fun to hear him kind of jab with Billy and whatnot, and the subscribers that are there. So that's kind of my favorite part of these PKO events, is we get to kind of see a little bit more personality than we're used to from these coaches.
My favorite part is actually getting to meet all the TexAgers out there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Shaking hands and hearing stories. So, and hey, Oliver down in Victoria, going into the 9th grade, stay on your grind and be the best you can be.
Yes, be the best you. Tell me
more.
Be
like him.
Huh? Well, what's more of Oliver's story? Tell me more.
Well, he plays sports. His dad brings him up to every year. He was there Friday night, and I took a picture with him 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was saying, hey, nice. I
wish I got to meet Oliver.
And then he came in and he says, and this year I was like, oh, hi, Oliver. He's growing up.
Yeah.
He's growing up and looking good, looking like a good athlete. And he plays football. And
all right, Oliver.
Aspiring at the.
Shout out.
I've already forgotten because I forget a lot.
What's your name?
His high school, but it's the private school, Catholic school down in Victoria, like St. Joe, St. Bob, St. Arnold. One of those saints.
St. Olin.
St. Olin.
Yeah,
that'll never be the case.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment. I'm just gonna move on.
It's okay.
Let's
move on.
Let's check in at the Angry Elephant News. Oh, by the way, I was going to say something about what he said. We're going to check in with you in a second. You know what I loved?
What?
I love the check-ins with the other coaches. Leroy Burrell, all that stuff. Bobby Shuttleworth, Steve Denton. That was fun.
I thought that was a new element, and I thought it was excellent.
I'll tell you, the person who came up with that idea, brilliant.
Was it you?
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither in the hizzy.
I was going to say that too, David. I really loved hearing from all of the other coaches at PKO. Bucky McMillan, I think, might have been my favorite just because he got me fired up just listening to him talk.
Yeah.
Talking about not being individuals, but being a team player and winning team championships. So I thought that was my favorite part of PKO.
Yeah, the whole thing is great. And I love, like, you guys probably don't see it, but when they're coming up on the stage, I typically get to say hi to them as they're coming up, and they're just class. Everybody we deal with at A&M has been pure class. All right, Gaither, go ahead.
I was also going to say some event happened over the weekend as well. It was the Athletes Unlimited Softball Championship. It was happening during PKO, so we didn't get to go to every single day, but I was there Thursday night and Sunday. And I will say Sunday, the championship day, was an insane environment there at Davis Diamond.
Really?
There were so many A&M softball players. Trisha Ford was there. And it just, like, a ton of people flew in from all over to come see this event. So it felt amazing.
Who was playing in the championship?
It was the Utah Talons and the Chicago Bandits. On the Chicago Bandits, Mac Barbara, former A&M softball player, was playing in the game. So she made it to the AUSL championship game. And then Thursday night, we had 3 Aggies. So Barbara, Tori Vidalis, and Kennedy Powell were all playing on Thursday night. So it was great to watch.
I bet you were so happy being there.
I was.
Yeah. What else do you have for us this morning?
In some sad-ish news, former Aggie linebacker Nick Scorton did suffer a torn ACL in the first day of Carolina Panthers training camp. Last year, he had 47 total tackles, and he was set to have a breakout year this year, but unfortunately did have a torn ACL that will keep him out for the season.
That's terrible news.
Just, I know he'll work on it and rehab it, and this time next year, we come back better than ever.
Yeah. Obi, let's talk food.
Oh, I can always talk food.
All right. Talk about succulent brisket from one place and one place only.
Man, succulent brisket at 1775. They ought to have a big neon sign. Doesn't even have to say 1775 to say succulent brisket.
Yes, I agree.
Brisket.
Say it again?
Succulent brisket.
Slow it down.
Succulent brisket.
Yeah, I think we should make shirts like that.
Just, yeah.
With your face just, arr.
Arr. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't have to be just the succulent brisket because they got the amazing pork ribs and that. And I have a different word all the time, but I like scrumptious for that jalapeno cheese sausage.
Yeah.
The turkey, I even like the turkey.
Why do you say it like that? Like they're your stepchild that you don't really care for? I like it. I mean, he's my kid. I like him, but he's not.
No, because that's your domain. Because you're the one that's making sure the calories are all counted and everything. I'm the guy that's just, I'm a fat guy. I'm going to eat what I like. But I like the turkey. And pulled pork's not my deal, but people that like pulled pork told me it's really good over there. But you know what I really like?
I know what you really like.
Yeah, there's queso, mac, and cheese. You got to have it. It's the perfect, it's God's side dish.
You think God would,
I think he would say,
break some bread or a little queso, mac, and cheese?
He would say, this is my side dish.
Why does he talk like a news anchor?
Because he's God.
He doesn't talk like a news anchor.
With a big voice, you know?
Okay, yes. I think he just talks like a normal guy, like, hey, David.
No, I don't see it that way.
Okay, well.
Especially after he's had some of that queso mac and cheese.
Go check it out. Another one of these 13-minute live spots. Check out the website, 1775txbbq.com, or call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775, and?
It's good.
Hey everyone, David Nuno here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner Shields. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. He's Olin Buchanan.
He's David Nuno.
Thanks, appreciate that. Hey, by the way, I say this every year in my head. I don't know if I say it out loud. I got to do something about the wardrobe at PKO. Like, I am dressing like I'm going to a funeral.
No, you look good.
Yeah, but nobody else is in a suit. So I'm the tryhard.
I had on a sports coat.
Yeah, but the sports coat, I think, is the right kind of professional.
You know what? You probably should just dress whatever you're comfortable in, because you could probably go to that kickoff and wear, one of your medium shirts.
Yeah, why not?
The shorts,
Yeah. I might do like a jersey, like a tank top for the gun show.
Just go up there in your Speedo and get Gaither and all the other interns, to oil you up before, and you go out there and do your.
I think I do my own oiling.
Do your javelin pose.
I think we have HR. I'll do my own. Oiling.
Break down into the crab and then
the crab. Do the crab. No, like standing up and do it. Okay, don't fall though.
Isn't that the crab?
Yeah, I think we're
here to pump you up.
Hey, Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
Hans and Franz. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for, it's that time of year, buddy.
It's already, we're already here.
We're already here.
There's about 40 days total, I think, until football season
42,
starts.
I think, days?
Is it 42?
Something like that.
Okay.
Do the math.
It's close.
25 and 25.
25 and 20.
Presented by Paragon Financial Advisors, an Aggie-owned, independent fee-only fiduciary serving families and business owners nationwide. Visit more at paragon-adv.com. And before we get to who number 25 is, and we'll do a deeper dive with Billy later, I want to explain how it works, okay? So 25 and 25 is one of my most stressful things that I do at TexAgs.
Really?
Yeah. Because I want to give everybody the respect that they deserve, right? Like, I really want to, I take my time thinking about it. I also got to get the staff to participate in it, right? And I got to get the subscribers. That's the easy part. They go on, they vote. So it's broken down into quarters.
Quarters.
Like Olin's vote gets 25%.
Okay.
Okay, we've got Billy's vote that gets 25%. Should be like 80%, but 25. We get David Nuno,
Billy's
that'd be
the fourth quarter and overtime if necessary.
Yeah. And the subscribers, 25%.
Okay.
We throw it in a pot. Matthew Dawson spits out an algorithm that gives you the results.
Of course, Matthew Dawson.
Yeah, it's the Dawson Express. So, and before I tell you who number 25 is, I want to tell you a little bit about how I typically do it.
Okay.
I typically, not always, try not to put freshmen on there.
Okay.
Because I think they have to do it at this level for me. But that doesn't mean I'm completely against it. Okay.
Right.
But I'm just like, I try not to. And then I typically try not to have a specialist on there.
Okay.
Okay. So you're not, more than likely, a field goal kicker isn't going to be on there. You could. But I typically go more on the other positions. Now, what the fans do and what you do and what Billy does, that's just typically my template.
Yeah, I remember putting Braden Mann because he was amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then one year I was very proud of myself for this. I actually had Cullen Gillespie in my top 25 one time.
Before he hit it big, right?
Yeah, before that last year.
Yeah.
But you're right. I heard that there have been years where someone said, you got to put this guy on. I'm like, no, can't do it. And for me, look, back in, if we were doing this, and we did, in 14, I guarantee I had Myles Garrett on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, some freshmen are just different. But typically, I'm going to leave off freshmen and really a lot of younger guys if they haven't played. I will put guys in based on potential, but not often.
Yep.
Usually I have to see what you've done. It doesn't necessarily have to be at A&M, especially now.
Right.
But I've got to actually see it because it's such a big climbing.
I will tell you so who number 25 is, which I'm still holding it out for a second. We haven't seen much of. All right. Okay. So this person was on my top 25 for the record. But like I thought hard about Aaron Gregory and KJ Edwards. I thought hard about those guys because I do think they're going to be major contributors. But I got to look at the 12 games and where we are today, and I try to forecast a little bit, right? Of course, all this is forecasting, but based on the info we have to this day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you who it is.
Just tell me.
Talk a moment about it, and then we'll have Billy go a
Enough
deeper dive.
secrecy.
Number 25
is,
ladies and gentlemen. Why did I say that with a T at the end?
I don't know.
Because it's Lamont.
There you go.
Rogers.
Lamont Rogers.
Lamont Rogers. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a starter. That's the great part of this, is that this dude might start, might not. I expect him to play a lot. He is that talented. He's gotten that many good reviews from the spring and how he developed last year. Lamont Rogers at number 25, which I think speaks volumes about what this offensive line could be if we don't know if he's a starter.
Yeah, and so I'll be honest. I didn't have him on my top 25. I get where you're going. This is a potential pick. This is what we can do. But you also said, I don't know if he's going to start. And I hope that all of our starters, and he may be a starter, are in the top 25.
He may play as much of a starter, right? Like this line they have gone with a rotation in the past.
Yeah.
They'll go 7-8 deep.
Yeah, and I've seen that before. I've seen sometimes you had a offensive line that was just so good, like all right, 2012.
Yeah,
when you had Jokel and Matthews and Obuehi. I mean, there's 3 eventual first-round draft choices. If you would have said, okay, I got Jermaine Ifedi on that team too, but he's not quite a starter yet.
Right.
Okay, I can see that because he ended up being a first-round pick. So, yeah, I'm not saying that's wrong that Lamont Rogers, no, he can't be one of the top 25, but he may be in the top 10.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and which is why it's hard for me sometimes when I do these lists, is like I'm trying to project, but until we see it. That being said, 6'6", 337, and was a 5-star coming out of high school, obviously. The potential is there, the size is there, and the coaches rave about him. So
the coach is there because he's going to get good coaching.
Yep.
He's going to get He's going to get good strength and development. He's going to get good position coaching. Elko's going to motivate him.
Yep.
Yeah, he could be all those things.
Yeah, he can absolutely be that. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back. Josh Pate spoke about A&M recently. He speaks about A&M often.
He's fair. That's what I like about him. He's
fair and balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Let's talk about Rollo Insurance. We told you about Jason Jackson, the entire team there, most of the team minus Keith at our PKO event, but they're all over town. So it's not surprising to see them at preseason kickoff. You'll see them everywhere. Football games, basketball games, grocery stores, church, you name it. Rollo Insurance is there. They're super local, but they're all over the state of Texas, right? They've got at least 60 offices in Texas, and they're now nationwide, and they keep expanding. In fact, I was talking to Jackson at our event this weekend, and he was like, yeah, I'm going somewhere else because we're going to do some business somewhere else. So that's what they're doing. They're just expanding. They continue to grow. That's the Rollo way, and they're going to take care of you in every form of insurance, whether it's car, auto, that's the same thing. Car and auto are the same thing, OB. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. Home, ranch, you name it, you'll get a personal agent, their cell phone number, and they'll be there for you. The difference is real. Check out the website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. Hey everyone, David Nuno of TexAgs Live, and I'm here with Brandon Moreau of Brazos Valley Floor and Design. They're a family-owned business, and Brandon used to work for the A&M football team, the Texans, you name it. Brandon, tell us a little bit about Brazos Valley Floor and Design.
Yeah, like you said, family business. We started in 1999. It was in a small feed store, and about 4 years later, my dad decided he wanted to grow the business and kind of focus on that. So we're in the location we are at now, and we have a large showroom with salespeople with designer experience, a lot of stocking power, and we catered a lot to residential builders, and we do a little commercial work as well.
Tell me about your other company as well, Premier Countertop Design.
Yeah, Premier Countertop Design is right there on site, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. People can come by, they can look at their slabs that they're going to cut, they're going to compare to their cabinet colors, their backsplash that they're going to do at our flooring store, and we have a lot of digital. We're doing a lot of digital stuff. We're templating, water jet, laser measuring, all different things like that.
So tell me a little bit about what sets you guys apart from the rest of the competition.
I think just being here in the community for 27 years in business, and our vendors that we have the relationships with, the pricing we can get because of how much we can buy in stock and things like that. And then as far as the countertop business, is just the way we can be precise with what we do.
All right, there you have it, guys. Check out the website, bvfloorandddesign.com and premiercountertopdesign.com. We're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We've been chilling. We haven't even told people. We're hanging out at the holistic planning.
Cool zone. That's why it's been kind of chilly.
I like making money.
Zone. Nothing's cooler than making money. I got to tell you, I think it's cool to make money. I'm a capitalist, and I want some capital.
I like to make money, and when I let my money work for me.
Oh, that's the best way.
Right? That's what holistic does.
Yeah. So you can just invest a little bit, and they'll bring you back a lot.
OB, let's talk brands in college football, shall we?
Okay.
All right. So what do you think are the top brands in college football?
Notre Dame, Ohio State.
By the way, I forget how he phrased it, but Trev mentioned A&M being brand value third in the country at our event. Brand value, like what we bring to the table. A&M is third in the country. Texas and Ohio State 1 and 2?
I was going to say I'd have to put Texas up there too.
Yeah.
Probably Alabama's got a good brand from all the winning and things like that. So,
but when you're talking about brands that you're going to get behind over the next few years, who's got the most to gain? Josh Pate was asked that question on his show, and he gave an answer that we've heard before, but he explained it. Here's Josh Pate talking about the brand he would buy.
Anyway, here's the question. What programs are best positioned to become a top 10 brand in college football within the next 10 years that we would not consider top 10 today? Texas A&M by a mile is my number one answer. I don't think Texas A&M is considered a top 10 brand today. Texas A&M could easily be this. I've fought this battle forever. I have long believed this has been the biggest sleeping giant program in terms of like national top 10, top 5 potential, because they have it. But there is a portion of our audience, there's a portion of the college football public that refuses to believe something's possible until their eyes see it. Toppmeyer, plural of doubting Thomases. And I don't have to see it to believe it can happen. So Texas A&M would be there, and I would ask, so if you don't believe it's possible, what does it take to be a top 10 program / brand that they don't have? Because mainly the answer is money, and they've got that. They've got a massive fan base. They put like 300,000 people in that stadium every Saturday. Massive fan base. Also, unique culture. It was pointed out to me the other day that you cannot spell culture without cult. As I was making an A&M point, which I thought was uncalled for, and at the least, and inappropriate at the worst. What you call cult-like behavior, I just call tradition. So I've never had a problem with Texas A&M. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like they're already kind of there. They just made, like they were just in the playoff last year.
OB, everything he said, I'm on board with.
You know what I always say though? They say you can't spell culture without culture. I always say America starts with A&M.
Make that a shirt.
Yeah.
I agree with you, by the way, because it's facts. A&M are in there. Yeah. But so what does A&M, okay, what is the missing ingredient?
Winning consistently. And, A&M has won. See, that's the thing that people forget. And they won under Jackie Sherrill. They won under R.C. Slocum. No national championships, but conference championships. And then a guy who doesn't work in sports fired R.C. Slocum.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had the Franchione curse.
Yep.
And then we cursed some more when it was Mike Sherman. And then, someone
won.
We thought that he was going to be, turns out, he had Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans. And okay, he inherited those guys. And Jimbo won. I mean, their 2020 team should have been in the 14 playoff. They got big timed by Notre Dame, but that's going to happen. And then they got, last year they're in the playoff. So A&M has been able to win. It's just they haven't been able to, especially since they got out of the Big 12, to put excellent seasons together.
Sustain winning years.
It's kind of like what Liucci always says about recruiting. You got to stack the recruiting classes. You got to stack the
winning,
the winning together.
I agree.
The big winning.
Which is why this year I think could go a long way into silencing homeboys. Right?
Yeah.
Like they've done it back-to-back years. It's every year is now. I don't know if this year is going to be better from a regular season record standpoint. I don't know. I mean, to build on 11-2, you got to go 12-0, right?
Let's do it.
Which I would love to see, right? But I don't
make this the home of the 12th win.
I would love to see that. I would like to see the 14th and the 15th.
Well, I'm talking about just regular
season 12th win. But if I believe if they put together a 9-3 or better record, that they are definitely on that path of what we're talking about, sustained winning.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where this would be in past years. You wouldn't just see this season coming up and think, okay, this could be I don't want to say a bad season. This could be the season where you reload.
Rebuild.
Rebuild. It could be a rebuilding year. It could be a transitional year. Why? Because you lost 10 guys to the NFL draft, and A&M typically couldn't lose that kind of talent and
be back the next year. Yeah,
but with Elko's recruiting, with the development, with that we talked about, the finding the diamonds in the rough that in the transfer portal that he's so good at. Yeah, they could absolutely come back. And I think it's if the offensive line is good and they don't have any major injuries, that's Marcel or somebody to that degree, then yeah, if the offensive line is effective, then there very much could be a 10-win team.
Gaither, do me a favor, look up how many new players Georgia has, transfer and incoming freshmen. I'm just curious because I believe the way A&M is doing it is, look, what do they add? 43 players, I think, this past year, whatever it is. The way A&M is doing it is they are using the portal where they have to, and they are developing everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Georgia has done over the years. I think that's what really... Now, it's not to say that a team like Ole Miss or whatever Lane Kiffin touches, they are full of transfers, and I'm not saying that isn't going to win eventually, right? But I feel like, yeah, A&M went into the portal a little bit more this year because they had to, but they also were they lost the least amount of players in the SEC to the transfer portal.
Well, I think when you look at your high school classes, no matter how highly they're ranked, typically, some more so, better than others, typically you hit on about a third of them.
Yeah.
So if you got, 24 guys in your class, 8 of them, 8, 16, 20, 8 would be really good. And then you may have some others that contribute. But so now you got that, you got your 8 really good guys, 2 years in a row, so they're 16. But now you say, okay, yeah, but the tight ends didn't work out. Or I'm not just picking on tight ends, or, the safeties didn't work out. So now you go into the transfer portal. And you might say, oh, I didn't get this guy. But there's this guy at San Diego State. And I've watched him, and I think this guy could come in and transition into the SEC and really play at a high level. So let's go get him. And that's what they've done so well.
Yeah, they have. You have that number?
So Georgia has 35 new players. 9 are transfers and 26 are signees.
Okay. 9 are transfers only.
Yeah.
Wow.
9 are transfers out of 35.
Cherry picking.
And by the way, I believe they are the youngest team in college football.
Yes, they were. I can't remember the exact
19 and a half,
number.
I think they were.
Yeah, it was about 19 and a half. So it's interesting that they're the youngest.
Now, A&M isn't that much older.
Right.
Right.
They were about 20 and a half.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Texas and Ohio State were all in that, which is, to me, weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where that could hurt them, could. And again, that's not the starters. Starters' age, I would assume, is a little higher. Right. A&M obviously has got a lot of players with experience that will be starting this year. But I think where it'll be interesting is the first part of the year, as young players have to play, how hard that schedule is. Because I think as the season goes on, these teams with young players that are elite talent-wise, I think they're going to figure it out.
I know at our kickoff event, Elko talked about feeling really good about depth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about
competition.
First of all, it's great for the competition. And also, you're going to need that depth because not only are you going to play 12 games, but now it may sound like, oh, big deal, it's just one more. But now it's 9 SEC games, 10 games against when you count Arizona State against Power 4 competition. And then you want to get into the playoff and play a whole bunch more games.
Yeah.
So you better be deep.
Yeah, you better be deep. Let's hit a break. I want to talk about the SEC poll because I thought A&M finished 4th, by the way. Mm-hmm. which that's not the vibe I got when talking to the media there. Like I think it's exactly where A&M wants to be, kind of under the radar, but yet a lot of respect. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Right now, we're talking Guarantee Bank and Trust, 3 great locations in the Bryan-College Station area. They're very deeply invested in this community. You'll see them all around town. And their market president, Brandon Sears, he's an Aggie, leads the team. He's fantastic. I'll talk to him about Aggie sports and whatnot. But anywhere you are in Texas, if you're in Dallas, Houston, you name it, they got 33 locations across the state. Also in Central Texas, East Texas, you name it. And they make local decisions with people that you know and trust. They want to grow strong for their community and help you grow stronger. And they're going to help support you in financial education, home ownership, local business, nonprofit efforts right here in this very own community. They are Aggie Land's community bank, and they are tailored to help you support yourself and your financial endeavors. The website is gnty.com. That is gnty.com. It is Guarantee Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey friends, David Nuno here for the Association of Former Students, and have you checked out the latest issue of the Texas Aggie magazine? The May through June issue is a special Aggie Spirits issue that includes all things Aggie: wine, beer, mead, spirits, and much, much more. And the team at the Association of Former Students searched far and wide for Aggie-owned businesses, breweries, wineries across the state, the country, and even the world. That's right, the globe, baby. And as much as could be found has been compiled into the magazine for the Aggie Network. Now, normally, the Texas Aggie magazine is available only to Century Club members. However, this issue is available to everyone. So to read the issue and explore giving to receive future issues, visit tx.ag/Texas Aggie. That is tx.ag/Texas Aggie. Again, don't miss the special Aggie Spirits issue of the Texas Aggie to explore all things Aggie: wine, beer, mead, spirits, and much, much more. It is tx.ag/Texas Aggie. Check it out.
We're back on the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, still hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
Cool Zone.
OB, the SEC media picked A&M fourth in the SEC.
Okay.
But when I was at SEC Media Days, I feel like I'm talking really fast. You slow it down. When I was at SEC Media Days, Olin, how would God say it?
When you, David, were at Yay, David. Not yay.
Oh, yeah.
Not cheering from you.
Yeah,
Yay, David.
Yes.
When you were at Southeastern Conference Media Days, you...
Have you heard the new Yay?
The
Never
new
mind.
Yay?
Never mind. Anyway.
You mean Kanye? I know it's what you're talking about. I know.
Hey, the new album's not good. Not good at all. At least I haven't given it a chance. Anyway, all right, where were we? God, yeah, big fan. Huge. The biggest. What I was going to say is that everybody I talked to, I felt like, oh, Oklahoma, they're a top 3 team. And nobody was mentioning A&M to me when we were talking. They were under the radar. You know who else I felt was a little under the radar? I thought Georgia was a little under the radar for Georgia standards. Yeah, they're like, they were picked to finish first, but nobody was really talking about them. I don't remember them being a talking point.
Yeah, but you know who they're talking about.
Kirby?
Well, no.
Texas.
Texas. See,
but
it does seem
LSU,
like Texas and Oklahoma and LSU are getting most of the discussion. LSU for obvious reasons. Texas because they always are. And OU's kind of the sexy hot pick now to say, oh yeah, their quarterback's not hurt and look like he was last year, and look how good the defense is going to be. Yada yada yada.
So they vote with their phone or their laptop, but they speak with their mouth, and what they say is different than how they vote.
I think that
at least that's what they felt like to me.
Yeah, I think with Texas A&M being ranked 4th, that goes back to it's all about. I think that is all about 2 things. It's about the respect
for Elko
that they have for Elko, and then they're saying, they got that quarterback back. And a lot of teams don't have their quarterback.
Yeah.
And that guy, if you really think about it,
was pretty good.
Was really pretty good.
pretty good.
He didn't have a great close, but yeah, for 11 weeks, he was the Heisman Trophy, not leading candidate, but solid candidate.
He was in if they win that Texas game, he gets invited to New York. Sorry, guys, that's the facts.
If he goes out and had a great game against Texas, then I think people are looking at him and Mendoza, and they're like, I'm not sure. Mendoza he struggled against Penn State not that long ago. But he did. Mendoza probably would have won anyway. But the point is, people are looking at it and saying, well, that coach has really got something going there. And oh, by the way, there's only a handful of teams that have their quarterback, and Texas A&M is one of them.
Yeah. So I would have thought they would have been picked to finish 6th.
Okay.
I would have thought the consensus would have been like, they're about the 6th best team. And I think people would have looked at their schedule and how many times they got to go on the road.
Well, who are the 5 teams you thought the media would put ahead of them?
All right, let's go through it. Georgia, Texas,
LSU,
Oklahoma. And I don't know.
No, not Ole Miss?
I don't think I would have thought that. No, I thought Ole Miss would have been right around where A&M is. But
well, aren't they?
Yes, they finished 3rd and A&M finished 4th. But I would have thought like 5th or 6th for Ole Miss based on the media.
6 or 7.
You can't do it anymore.
Is that so old and passe?
It's done. Yeah,
I like to bring back the oldies.
Even a little graphic.
6 or 7.
Sorry.
Anyway, so they said Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, LSU because of Kiffin, and I guess Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But if you're 6, that means they're looking at you and say, this team is a playoff contender because they had 5 teams from the SEC in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Good stuff, OB. Start off the week.
There's never a bad time to talk about college football, but now
it's the best time.
The best time. Yeah, thank you for finishing that for me.
It is. We're here.
We're here. We're always here. Except I won't be here next week.
Yeah, so you're a 2%er.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll take a day off too at some point. Thanks.
Yo, will you?
Yeah, I will at some point.
You take a day off? No.
Hey, I'll take a Gabecation. I don't care. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Blake Toppmeyer of USA Today. We'll get his thoughts on SEC Media Days as camps are, a week and some change away? So
not long.
We'll chit-chat with him about that and more. It's TexAgs Live.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little SEC Media Days and just the aftermath. And now Big Ten Media Days are starting. Blake Toppmeyer of USA Today joining us here on the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. What's going on, Blake? How you been, buddy?
Well, you?
Doing great, man. So any takeaways from what you heard? I'll just kind of fill you in on our last segment. I was kind of surprised that A&M finished 4th in the SEC poll for where the teams would finish ranked, just because the vibe I got when I was there is A&M was one of the quiet teams that people weren't really talking about. So I was surprised by that.
You thought they'd be lower?
Yeah, I did. I thought 5th or 6th, maybe 7th.
Yeah, I think them making the playoff last year, bringing back the quarterback, bringing back so much, I think that probably resonates. I think also there's maybe some indecision of what to make of LSU. Like I could see a lot of people ranking LSU as high as 2 or 3. I could also see people ranking LSU 5 or 6 on their ballot. Feels like A&M might have been sort of like kind of in that safe 3 to 4 to 5 range on everybody's ballot, right? Like I don't know if you can justify putting A&M much lower than about 5th, considering what they achieved last year, considering what they brought back. Whereas I think some of those other teams, like an LSU, could have a little bit more variance. Alabama, I think, falls into that category as well, right? Like I could see some people voting Bama 3rd. I could see people voting Alabama 8th. I don't see anybody voting Texas A&M 8th unless they just have an axe to grind.
I think also the fact that Marcel Reed is back, and you look at around the conference, like there's a lot of teams trying to figure out the quarterback situation. They may have brought in a guy that's done well, like Sam Levitt at LSU, but you may have a guy who hasn't started before at Alabama, right? So there's these scenarios where these teams that were like, what's up with their quarterback position? And I think that's where A&M, even though people have their questions about Marcel, they at least know he's seen the bullets.
Yeah, I agree with that. You bring your coach back, you bring your quarterback back, and if people generally believe in the coach and the quarterback, which I think applies in this case, that usually puts you in pretty good shape, I think, in preseason voting.
After hearing from the 16 teams, did your opinion change on any opponent, or any team?
Probably not. I mean, I'm not really one of those guys that somebody can win me over at the podium in July, and all of a sudden I think they're going 10-2 rather than 5-7. But I guess I continue to think that Auburn might be a little bit undervalued. I don't know that changed after hearing from Alex Golesh. I think I thought that kind of coming into media days. Still feel like that coming out of media days. I'm not a big sports gambling guy, but I believe the sports books have their over/under at like 6.5 wins. To me, I would like Auburn on the overside there. I get it. I mean, the battle scars the last 6 years, I understand why expectations for them might be limited, but with what Alex Golesh brought in from South Florida, including Byron Brown, his quarterback, I think there's a chance for a bump there immediately for Auburn. I also just have a hard time believing that Auburn was as bad as what the product looked the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, the record is what it is, right? But my point is, I always felt like they had a little bit more talent than what the record showed under Hugh Freeze and Brian Harsin. And the one thing was they couldn't figure it out at quarterback. That was a consistent issue, whether it was Brian Harsin or Hugh Freeze. They were a mess at quarterback. I think Alex Golesh, he's good with quarterbacks. His system's good with quarterbacks. Byron Brown is going to have to prove it at a higher level, but he was one of the best G6 quarterbacks in the country last year at USF. So that's one team that maybe I value a little bit more, I guess, than many of my peers.
Blake, one team that I came away thinking maybe I've been undervaluing them, and it's not what they said on the podium, although it had a little bit to do with it, is Tennessee. Because I'm they're a good program, but they got a new quarterback and this and that. And then I'm reminded that, Josh Heupel's had a different quarterback every year. Like, this is what they do. They're going to be able to run the ball. They have a great offensive line. So maybe they're a team that I just looked at as like, yeah, A&M should win that game. That's a little harder than I thought.
Now, yeah, I think you're spot on there. Like, Josh Heupel gets taken for granted for his rinse and repeat ability to do it year in, year out with different quarterbacks. We think about this time last year, Tennessee had lost Nico Iamaleava. They got the guy that UCLA didn't want, and Joey Aguilar. And usually that's not like a ringing endorsement. Like if your calling card is UCLA didn't want me, that usually means you're probably not going to be a top line SEC quarterback, right? But Josh Heupel said, "Come on in, Joey Aguilar," and turned him into one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. And Tennessee's offense was still really good. The issue with Tennessee last year was its defense was a bit of a mess, wasn't very good. So they bring in Jim Knowles, at defensive coordinator, who, of course, didn't go out on a high note at Penn State, but throughout the course of Jim Knowles' career, this guy's been pretty good coordinator. I mean, there was a reason why he was making top dollar at Ohio State and then Penn State. People think he's one of the best coordinators in the country. So I agree with you. I think I'd have Tennessee probably in that 6-7 range in the conference pecking order, because Josh Heupel just doesn't have bad seasons. You know, his average years are going like 8 and 5. He's pretty reliable. You know, he's a high floor coach.
The one thing I'll say about Jim Knowles too is I believe he typically, I don't want to say struggles his first year, but his first year at a program typically takes a little bit longer to kind of understand that defense.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and you do wonder, is he going to be able to turn it around overnight at Tennessee there on defense? The other thing, so much of this, I look at a team's schedule when trying to forecast what they're going to do, you know, in the conference standings, how legit are they as a playoff contender? You can't ignore the schedule. And nobody in the SEC has got a layup schedule, right? But some schedules are easier than others. I think Tennessee's falls on the more favorable end of the spectrum, I would say, in terms of SEC schedules.
Talking to Blake Toppmeyer here from USA Today on TexAgs Live. Blake, I want to talk a little bit about LSU because, as you mentioned earlier, they're a hard team to figure out. I give the benefit of the doubt to Lane Kiffin. I do. But this year of transition, he's got all the money in the world now. He's got a place that he can recruit to, all these things that he talked about. But do you think all the attention could affect them? And also, like, the expectation, I would think, at LSU is you won right away at Ole Miss. You better win right away at LSU because you've got everything you want now.
I think you're thinking along the same lines as I am, because I think Lane has never been a better coach than he is right now. You know, I mean, he's at his pinnacle. Doesn't mean he can't go higher, but you don't look back 5-10 years ago and think, oh, this guy's peak, you know, occurred a decade ago, the way you might look at, say, Dabo Swinney. So he's functioning at the highest level. So in that way, I believe he can get it done there. He's really good at blending transfers. I think he's got a great portal haul, all of that. However, it is true that at Ole Miss, he was driving in that underdog lane, and I think that suited him really well. You know, we think back to different times in his career where he's had the highest expectations, thinking about Southern Cal, or even when he was the NFL as the young coach of the Raiders. Those jobs didn't go well for Lane. Now, he was a much younger coach, much more experienced coach then, and I think he would tell you he's grown up. He's more prepared for this type of expectation. But the fact of the matter is, we haven't seen him face this level of pressure and expectation, I think, ever, but certainly not since Southern Cal. But I would actually say the type of spotlight and pressure that he's going to experience this year at LSU, I think it trumps even what he experienced at Southern Cal. I mean, let's face it, in LA, you know, there's a different celebrity on every corner. You know, Lane Kiffin can go out to dinner in Los Angeles and be like the 12th most famous person in the restaurant. That's not going to happen at Baton Rouge. Everything he does in year one at LSU is going to be under the microscope. You know, is he at the point in his career where he can handle it? I think maybe. Again, he's at the zenith of his career. If he can't handle it now, he'll never be able to handle it. But I do think it's fair to wonder, how's he going to handle being the hunted rather than the hunter, so to speak, and every one of his moves being under the microscope in a way that it frankly wasn't at Ole Miss. And again, I think he really thrived in that underdog role. Well, he's not the underdog anymore.
Blake, I think sometimes, and this is not singular to Lane Kiffin, but sometimes you grow up, right? Steve Sarkisian, I think, has grown up as a head coach. He's not making the same mistakes he was making in his prior stops. That being said, sometimes when you have all the talent in the world, it can kind of make you look better than in years past. So same thing can be said about potentially Lane Kiffin at LSU and Steve Sarkisian at Texas.
No, I think that's right. I think that's a good segue into Sark, because I think this is a really big year for him. What's Texas going to do? Because there's really no excuse for not achieving at the highest level. Now, people will say, well, it's championship or bust for Texas. I don't really know what that means. Like, are they going to fire Sark if he bows out in the CFP semifinals? I don't think so. I wouldn't fire a guy that loses in the semifinals. So I don't like that, like, championship or bust type phrasing around them. But I do think, like, anything short of playing into deep January for Texas would be nothing to celebrate, right? If they make the playoffs and lose in the first round or the quarterfinals even, they're not going to be throwing a parade over that. With as much as they have invested in this team, they have a 6-year coach, they have Arch Manning at quarterback, they have all the reasons to be able to chase national glory this year. And I still think Sark's a good coach. I think he's still on schedule. I think, to your point, he's a better coach now than he was earlier in his career. And I think the fact that they underachieved last year, they underperformed, they didn't live up to expectations. There's no denying it. When you're preseason number 1 and you don't even make the playoff, you didn't live up to expectations. However, I would say that Kirby Smart didn't win his first national championship until year 6. Ryan Day didn't win his first national championship until year 6. Steve Sarkisian is in year 6 now at Texas. Doesn't mean he's going to win it all, but I do think it's an argument for, even though Texas didn't live up to expectations last year, Sark still is on schedule for kind of where he should be when you compare him to guys like Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, etc. Took those guys a while to win their first national championship.
Blake, would you be surprised 2 9-3 teams playing in the SEC championship game?
2 9-3 teams, yeah, I think that would surprise me. I think maybe one could be in the SEC championship game. I think Georgia is going to be in Atlanta. I think Georgia has one of the best schedule draws, not only among the SEC's playoff contenders, but of any SEC team. I think Georgia has one of the best schedule draws. I think they're going to handle it. I think they'll be in Atlanta. So I would be surprised if Georgia is not better than 9-3 going into that game. Now, could their opponent be 9-3? Yeah, I think that's plausible. Particularly, if we're talking about a team like Texas, one of those 3 losses could be to Ohio State in a non-conference game, right? I think that's a possibility that a team could be playing for the SEC championship at 9-3 with a non-conference loss.
Blake, you talk about you factor in the schedule when trying to figure out where these teams should rank, and you also said that A&M, in your opinion, unless you have an axe to grind, should be in everybody's top 5. So what do you think about that schedule and what they can do based on just the state of the SEC, with question marks at A&M for sure, but question marks throughout the league?
Yeah, I look at A&M's November stretch as, this isn't profound, right? But I think a lot of people look at it this way. November is going to make or break their season. I think they should be in the playoff hunt going into mid-November. And what I do like about their November schedule, the finish, they get Oklahoma on the road, but they get 2 out of the 3 big ones, Tennessee and Texas, at home. And I think in that 3-game stretch at the close there, that's going to make or break the Aggie season, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, they probably need to go 2-1 in that stretch at least to make the playoff. Because somewhere along the way, whether it be LSU on the road or Bama on the road, they might drop one somewhere up to that point. So, the conventional wisdom from the SEC, you need to be 10-2 to feel great about your playoff chances. I think it's very conceivable A&M will come into the month of November with 1 loss, and then it's a question of, can you go 2-3 down the stretch? I think it's a hard schedule. There's probably a few that are tougher. It's not a schedule like Georgia's. Like I say, I love the Georgia schedule. I don't love A&M's as much, but I think it sets up for the possibility of A&M getting back to the college football playoff. This to me looks like a 10-2 type of Texas A&M team, and if you're 10-2, you're in the playoff. You might well be hosting a first-round playoff game again with your strength of schedule. So, but again, I think it's that, I'm sure every Texas A&M fan is looking at that 3-game stretch at the end of November and how many of those 3 can they win? Because all three of those teams could be ranked opponents.
Blake, I'm going to actually do the reverse of that. I'm going to go early in the season, the LSU game, and I just want you to give me all three perspectives, all right? You've got LSU Ole Miss the week before, what that week can mean for both those programs, and then the week after, LSU hosts A&M, and A&M's taking care of business against them in the last 2 years, and they won for the first time in Baton Rouge. They got to go back to Baton Rouge. So just that little stretch, what it could mean for all three of these teams.
Yeah, totally. I mean, LSU, we're going to learn a lot about LSU in the first month of the season, whereas I say we'll learn something about A&M in the first month of the season, particularly from that LSU game. You look at LSU, they start with Clemson. Clemson's not what they used to be, but still, I think that's a bit of a bellwether game for LSU right out of the gates. And then, week 3, they're on the road at Ole Miss. And then week 4, late September, they're hosting the Aggies. I mean, LSU could be either belly up or could be number 1 in the country coming out of the month of September. They're a team that it's not going to take long, I think, to figure out exactly what Kiffin's got. And I think you're right. I mean, week 3 is going to be the Super Bowl of the season. I'm not just saying for LSU's season or Ole Miss's season. I can't think of a regular season game this year that will be more hyped, more scrutinized, more eyeballs on it than Ole Miss LSU. Now, I realize I'm saying that when Ohio State and Texas are playing in week 2, but yeah, that game might get better TV ratings, Ohio State, Texas, but in terms of the hoopla around a game, I mean, Lane Kiffin going back to Oxford is going to be bananas. So does that work well for A&M? Maybe. I mean, I don't hate it if I'm an A&M fan, the fact that that Lane's got Ole Miss on the brain 1 week before he's playing a huge game against A&M the following week. Yeah, I think that breaks pretty well for A&M. Doesn't mean they win that one. It's probably going to be a night game at Tiger Stadium, I would think. But yeah, I think it's pretty favorable where that falls for A&M on the heels of LSU having to play Ole Miss.
Blake, I'm going to give you a similar situation. What the Oklahoma A&M game is going to mean if Oklahoma struggles in that first month of the season, because that first month, or the first 6 weeks, I should say, very difficult stretch. So if Nick can put up their schedule just so you can take a look at it, Blake, it could be an extremely, if they do great, what it means for them at the end, and if they struggle, what it means for them the rest of the way.
Yeah, Oklahoma's a team I kind of have a hard time pegging. I would have them probably in the middle of my conference pecking order. I think other people maybe are much more bullish on Oklahoma than I am, and maybe I'm misreading it. But to me, Oklahoma lost a lot on defense, and everybody says Brent Venables got him. He's off the hot seat now. No more Brent Venables on the hot seat. Well, I guess that's true for this moment. It's certainly true for right now. But I think, with the nature of Brent Venables' tenure, it's been up and down and up and down. So if he struggles, again this year, couldn't he go right back on the hot seat? He's got a new athletic director. The AD is not the one who hired him. So I don't see why he couldn't. I mean, you look at the schedule we just had up there, week 2 at Michigan, week 4 at Georgia for Oklahoma. Then you got the neutral site game there at the Cotton Bowl against Texas right in the middle of October. Yeah, I mean, you could be in mid-October and Oklahoma could be, for all intents and purposes, out of the playoff hunt with 3 losses. Or, everybody's singing Brent Venables' praises. So you're right. I think for A&M, it's hard for me to make a strong case that they will be out of the playoff hunt by November. I just said, I think they're going to still be in the playoff race by November. Oklahoma, they could be out of it by then, or at the very least be severely wounded because they have so many big games, in the month of September or the Texas game in October. And again, I'm not that high on Oklahoma because of what they lost off defense, and that was the engine last year. They had the best defense in the SEC, and they got to replace a lot there. How does it look? I don't know. Brent Venables is really good on that side of the ball, but you have the turnover on defense. You also have Mateer coming off of the hand injury. He looked pretty good before the injury last year. Didn't look as good afterwards. How's it going to look now? Several months removed from the injury. I'm kind of in wait and see mode on that.
Blake, one more for you. I just want to ask you about Florida because they're a team that I feel like should be in the mix like A&M every year. They got all the resources. I think they got their coach situation figured out. Summerall, I thought, was very impressive at his introductory press conference, at his time before, like everything he's done. They've always had talent. What about the Florida Gators?
Yeah, I think Florida might be a year away from being where you expect Florida to typically be. They still got to figure out their quarterback situation. Summerall says he feels like he's got two starting quarterbacks. I don't know. To me, I feel a lot better about several other SEC teams' quarterback situations than I probably do about Florida's. And yeah, I just think in general they might be. They should be better. I'll say that, but that's a low bar, right? As bad as the Billy Napier era was, I think they should be better. Are they back to what we expect from Florida? I think not this year. I think, a year or two probably away from them, but their season could be decided by a couple early in the year road games. I mean, they're on the road against Auburn in week 3. Again, I said Auburn's a team with a new coach that I think could be substantially better in year 1. I probably like Auburn a little bit more than Florida in their first year under a new coach, but that's going to be a key game for both those teams at Jordan-Hare. Missouri in early October. Missouri's one of those teams that's just, they've been sneaky good at Faurot Field. You look at Missouri's record at home in the last 3 years, and they're nails. They're not part of that schedule. No denying Missouri got one of the best schedule draws in the league the last few years, but teams have not fared well. Typically, going to Faurot Field the last few years, I think Eli Drinkwitz has done a pretty good job there, and that's one, I guess, if you're a Florida fan, you're probably circling Missouri's a game I think we could get. I don't know. I would favor Missouri in that October game at Faurot Field with a proven coach in Drinkwitz. So going to be some early swing games. I think that could shape Florida's season for sure before they get into that stretch where they're playing Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. But on the whole, I feel like we're probably a year away from talking about Florida as a top 25 team.
Blake, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for your time. Let's do it again.
Okay, good catching up with you.
Thank you, buddy. Blake Toppmeyer there on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Appreciate his time. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. We'll tap dance before we go to some of our interviews from SEC Media Days, which includes Marcel Reed. There's something special about the Aggie Network. It's built on trust. It's built on relationships and people looking out for each other. And that's exactly how Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors approaches financial planning. From their headquarters in College Station, they serve individual families and business owners nationwide with independent fee-only fiduciary advice. Whether you're preparing for retirement, growing your investments, building your business, or planning the eventual sale of that business, Paragon's going to work alongside you every step of the journey. No commissions, no sales products, just personalized financial planning and investment management designed around your goals. You can learn more and schedule your complimentary consultation at paragon-adv.com. Paragon Financial Advisors, Aggie-owned, independent, serving clients nationwide.
Everybody, David Nuno here from TexAgs, here with some of our new friends from Frog Slayer. We've got the CEO, Ross Morrell, and the VP of Revenue, Jacob Stone. Ross, I want to start off with you. Who is Frog Slayer? What do you all do?
Yeah, Frog Slayer is a custom software, AI and automation company. We're based here in College Station. We've got about 50 employees right here, almost all Aggies. We've been doing this since 2005, about 21 years. Really what we do is we partner with business owners of growing businesses. And our goal is to come in, help them actually realize the promised technology in their company so they can create a company that is worth more than is tomorrow, that is today, and run a better business.
Jacob, I do want to ask you, what's different about Frog Slayer's approach when it comes to AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't just do AI, we do AI right. And so what that means is we embed ourselves inside of our client's team, and we help them plan, build, and ship solutions that they can deploy to a production environment that anyone can use.
All right, Ross, I've got to ask you, why the name Frog Slayer?
Yeah, it's an old riff off Mark Twain quote. So he said, the hardest thing you got to do today is eat a frog. It's best to do it first thing in the morning. So that's kind of our ethos of doing hard things first. And it's also a nice tie into Giggle.
Yeah, I love that. Jacob, let's close out. Where can we all find Frog Slayer?
Yes, you can find us online at frogslayer.com.
All right, thank you very much to both of you, Ross and Jacob. Check out Frog Slayer.
Missed it. Welcome back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2.5 of the program. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither got a comment and some other things to tackle here?
Yeah, so David Edmond said this comment to you, David.
Yeah, what's up, Dave?
Nuno, also, last week you said that you would be happy if you never visited OKC again. I ask you why, David Nuno.
Dave, I'm going to be really respectful here. When we go on trips, now, I'm looking forward to going to Norman for the game, right? Like, that's different. But we're talking about, like, visiting a city. I love living in College Station.
Yeah.
When I tell people that, they're like, really? Like, what is there to do? I was like, what the hell do you do in your big city? Like, do you, like, go dancing? Like, what do you do? Like, my life is simple. I go to work, I go to church, I go to the gym, I go to my kids' activities. That's my life. I can do that in Alaska. I can do that anywhere. So Oklahoma City is a place that if I probably lived there, I'd probably like it. Yeah. But when we talk about visiting, right, I want something different.
Yeah.
Okay? I want the beach. I want the culture of Nashville, right? Like, I don't really like Vegas, but, you know, I know Justin called me no fun Nuno when I didn't want to do, like, Vegas is whatever. But, like, there's got to be, like Houston. I grew up in Houston. I don't know if I love Houston. But, like, it's not a place that I want to go visit.
Right.
Right? So when we say visit, I want to go somewhere cool.
Yeah, somewhere with notable attractions,
Yes.
something to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, for the NCAA tournament, yes, I'm there to work. I'm not there to have fun.
Yeah.
But it was just the city. Like my daughter, Annalise, who has traveled more than any of the kids in our family because she's done pretty well in her little soccer career. But she, like, when she goes to certain places, she's like, hey, what'd you think of Charlotte? I don't know. It had buildings. It had malls. It was a city. Like, I want something to make me like, oh,
yeah,
we went and visited this.
And,
the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. And Oklahoma City doesn't do that for you?
No, but like I wouldn't mind going to Norman in Oklahoma City for a football game. Just like, I don't know if I want to visit Tuscaloosa for a week. I want to visit it for a weekend.
I don't know what there is to do in Tuscaloosa other than watch an Alabama football game.
It was when I went 3 years ago, I guess it was great. I loved it. But it was wrapped around college football.
Right.
NCAA tournament, SEC media days. I want something a little bit more than the building that I'm in with the 45-degree air conditioning and like you're overstimulated with all the laptops open and the conversation. I want something fun. So Tampa was cool because you're close to water. I ran around the river. That was great. Cuban food. That part was awesome. Nashville, I love going around until 9 o'clock, of course, to all the little bars and hearing the guys play. Like I love that. Like that part I love. Norman was just this, Oklahoma City was just a city. It's fine. You know, I'm sure Minneapolis, it's fine.
It's okay.
I don't want to go though. No. That's it. Like it's not a shot. I don't want to go to Houston either.
I'm sure people outside of Texas have heard about Houston and want to go to Houston, but if you've lived in Houston, if you've lived around Houston.
I don't know anybody who wants to go to Houston.
Exactly.
I don't. I don't. Like, people, if you're from and I'm going to get crucified, but like if you're from H-Time, like we fight for Houston. But I don't know people who want to visit it.
Right.
And people, if you live in Houston, you're not going to NASA. That's what people do to come to Houston. And it's like 2 hours away from anything in Houston anyway.
Yeah.
That was very long.
That was. But
you got something for me.
I do. So
Let's
we
go.
did get a text earlier. Someone said no one had Johnny Manziel in the top 25 to start the season. And this is when we were doing 25 and 25. Ain't no way. Did Gabe and TexAgs even do it for 2012? And I did some research. So in 2012, TexAgs did a 30 for 30.
Yep.
And Johnny Manziel was not in the top 25, but he was in the top 30.
Okay.
So I want you to give your prediction for where Johnny fell.
Well, I think I heard it already, so it's not fair. Yeah, I heard it. I think it was 26.
It was 26,
yeah.
Yes.
So, but again, like, in retrospect, what a bunch of losers, right? Like, and I don't mean that to Gabe and Olin. I'm just saying in general, like, how did you not know? I don't think anybody knew.
No
because
one knew.
Johnny was the kind of player, and I didn't get to cover him at practice. I got to cover his games, and it was must-watch coverage, right? ABC 13 had us traveling for those games, not like out of Texas, but we came to Kyle Field quite a bit. Greg Bailey did travel with them. That being said, he was more like he showed up on game day, and you're like, holy smokes. I forget who was telling me the story. It might have been on air. I hope I'm not telling a story I shouldn't say. But it was 2013. I think it was Ricky Seals-Jones, right?
Oh.
Nick, was it Ricky Seals-Jones who was like, dude, I came in, I was ready. Johnny came in flip-flops, got on one play, dropped back, and threw a dime and walked off. Like, there's certain people that could just know how to turn it on.
Yeah.
But the legend of Johnny was built on what he did on game day.
Oh, yeah. I think.
And then the legend grew bigger when you hear about the off-the-field game day stuff.
Yeah. I was, in 2018, or 2012, I was 8 years old. And I remember going over to my next door neighbor's house and watching Johnny Manziel on game day. And that is part of the reason I came to A&M. That's part of the reason I was an A&M fan. So his legacy truly made an impact.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And look, I try to keep it real. I hope I do. I don't watch football the way Stephen McGee does.
Right.
So I'm not going to try. Okay? I don't watch it the way Brooks Austin does. So I'm not going to try. I'm going to tell you what I see. And I'm going to try to elicit a response when I'm doing an interview, but I'm going to try to spark conversation based on what we all see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I keep telling you guys, I think Aaron Gregory is going to be special.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm telling you.
Andrew Wu thinks he's going to be special. But David Nuno does
I think he's going to be special. What is that? Does that mean now? I think he's going to have moments where we're like, oh, I see, right? Mm-hmm. And he might be that kind of kid that like, you got to put him on the field. Yeah. But that position group is so deep. In 4 years, we might be like, dude, you didn't put Aaron Gregory in your top 25? I'm telling you, I struggled with it. KJ Edwards, I struggled with it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you probably got more. We'll do it at 50. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online. CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. If you are in the market to buy a new vehicle, guys, you owe it to yourself and your family to go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Just go online and check it out. You can browse their selection there of inventory, but I'm telling you, if you got a car you're trying to trade in, why don't you give them a shout? Because they give top dollar for your car, so then you can apply that to the new car, you get your new car, everybody's happy again, and you get the excellent customer service that comes with that. The free oil change for life, complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. Again, what they do at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, second to none. I've bought cars from around town, and I'm telling you, they are absolutely one of the best in the market, no doubt. And no matter where you are, if you're listening in Houston, San Antonio, whatever. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So we got to catch up with Marcel Reed. We got to talk to him at PKO. That was fun. But we also got to talk to him at SEC Media Days. I told him I felt like a stalker because I talked to him a lot on that Wednesday. Well, here's part of our conversation, if not the entire thing, with Billy Liucci, myself, and Marcel Reed at SEC Media Days. All right, welcome back to The Huddle, brought to you by United and TexAgs. David Nuno, Billy Liucci, and Marcel Reed. What's up, man?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
How you guys doing, man?
Good.
I'm good. Are you tired? A little bit. I've yawned a couple times, but, you know, it's my last station.
How much are you enjoying this? I know, you know, the starting quarterback in the SEC, I'm sure you've been assuming that you're coming to that, but, like, to be here and do this and represent A&M as, you know, a returning starter, one of the stars of this league. What has this been like? Has it lived up to expectations, exceeded them?
Yeah, it's awesome out here. Just getting to talk to each and every one of these people, you know, hearing their questions, seeing what they want to know about A&M football is pretty cool, and it just means a lot that I get to represent A&M, myself and my family all at the same time here. Yeah, it's an honor for sure.
Marcel, I remember a year ago, you were here with a different organization. You were walking around, you stopped and said hello to all the media. You actually did a beeline, came and said hello to me. I want to talk about Marcel that day, okay, mentally heading into a season, and Marcel today. Like, what has changed here?
I mean, you know, I've had experience in the SEC already, so, you know, really just taking that next step and into that preparation a little bit more, spending more time with Coach Lynch, spending more time with Coach Wig, and trying to spend more time with each and every person on the offense so we're all on the same page. You know, got to get with the receivers a little more before, you know, we finally head into fall camp, and then also O-linemen, just to try to make sure we all understand the blocking schemes, whether it's pass or run. Like I said, make sure we're all on the same page, because when that happens, I think we are the best team in the country. So,
and obviously that's the ultimate goal. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, well, I think if A&M can win a playoff game, you know, it's hard to consider them a national title contender when they haven't ever won a playoff game. I said, whoa. Miami did it, and that game was tied with a minute left. They played for the title. Indiana had never won a playoff game. They won it last year.
Yeah.
When you look at that, like, that's an attainable next step for y'all, right? Like, I feel like you guys, there's no rule that says you have to skip, that you can't skip steps along the way. That's today's college football.
Yeah, 100%. I've talked to a lot of people about this. Like, a lot of people have put A&M aside because of the past 5-6 years, and I feel like the world doesn't allow people to change. Like, it's okay to change, and like, this program is changing. Elko has came in here and he's changed the program. He's changed how we work. He's changed the culture, and, you know, he's changed the win percentage. I mean, like, now we do want to win a playoff game and keep going, but like, people should be not satisfied, but, you know, happy with progress.
Yeah.
Because since Elko's been here, all we've done is progress. And I think that's going to be what's going to happen this year as well. So I'm really excited to get on the field again and play because, you know, just seeing how we've grown, I think it's going to happen again.
I think a big part of that, you and I always talk offense. I've been on one the last couple of weeks. I think this secondary has a chance to be really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of NFL guys. There's a ton of experience. There's guys that haven't even played yet that have a ton of experience. What do you see this offseason working against that group? How does it rate? Do you think it's going to rate with some of the better ones you've seen going, like you said, 2 years through the SEC?
Yeah. You know, how I think about it is we have two captains for our safeties.
Yeah.
And, like, I look at it like the Legion of Boom, you know. When you got Cam Chancellor back there and Earl Thomas back there, those were two very key factors of the defense, and I feel like, in a sense, they were kind of the captains of that defense. So having Ratcliffe, who's up here representing us as well, and then having Dalton Brooks, who's my roommate, who has been with this program since I've been here for a long time, has seen it all. Marcus Ratcliffe, who plays hard, does everything that needs to be done, and wants to impress teammates and coaches every single day he comes in the building. It's great to have those two back there. And then you have Julio Humphreys and Des Ricks and Ricky Gibson and all those people on the side who all have SEC experience, who've played really good teams, really good receivers. We're going to have a really good secondary. And we face them every day. Coach always tells us not to trash talk because we know that it gets competitive and we want to keep everybody safe, but it's hard not to when you got good receivers and good DBs. Iron sharpens iron, and they're just going at it every single day.
Can you get a sense of your offensive line, brand new unit, but Mark comes back obviously, but can you get a sense for how good they can be?
Yeah, and that's the most important part you just said right there. Mark comes back, and he's the center, and in a sense it kind of gives two voices because I'm navigating everybody, but he's also helping navigate everybody up front. But yeah, a lot of people think I'm worried about that. I'm not. We have a lot of people that we brought through the portal who have SEC talent as well, who have played SEC games and have seen every single person we're about to face again. So, we've done a really good job so far. Like I just talked about, the communication factor. I think just everybody being on the same page, and we're getting that. Once we do that, I'll be protected. We know who to block, and it's going to make this game a lot easier for us.
You mentioned, I don't think A&M's getting overlooked, but I do think of the contenders, it's they were there last year, they can get back this year, and then it kind of stops there. I've noticed what you've noticed. Do you feel like, and I think I know the answer to this by knowing you, I feel like you operate, that you like to be that guy that's motivated quietly. You're not going to say it much, but you really are. I sensed it last summer.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you were going to take that jump. I sense it again this summer. I think people forget the season you had and the season your team had. It was like you said, Elko, it was progress. It was massive progress. It was a breakthrough. Do you kind of like it better this way for you and your teammates? I remember Damian telling us during that lunch,
yeah,
we haven't done anything yet. I feel like that's where you guys are in your comfort zone operating.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously we know we haven't done anything, but we've gotten close enough to see it.
Yeah.
So the vision has gotten bigger for us, even though we put it up every year. It's bigger for us, and we know what it takes to get to and get through it. And yeah, I operate quietly. I see everything that goes on. I hear everything that goes on. It's impossible not to. But I'm not gonna.
You'd have to be on social media, then I'd think you were a weirdo.
Yeah, exactly.
Who does that?
It pops up, and then half the stuff I get tagged in, it's hard not for me to see it. But I work in silence. I'm gonna prove myself on the field, like I always do. I'm not a trash talker. I'm not, unless I want to. I'm gonna go out there and put my best foot forward every single game. Obviously, there's stuff over the offseason that I need to improve on, and I'm trying to improve on it. So when we get to the season, all the hard work that I put in, we'll see how well it pays off.
My last one to you is, you mentioned it. I've heard it throughout the offseason. Explain to me, from a quarterback standpoint, what you mean when you say get you on the move a little bit more, move you around. Because I tweeted that quote, and people were going, well, he scrambled a lot last year. I said, that's not what he means.
Yeah,
he means moving the pocket, rolling out.
Yeah, exactly. Rolling out, doing some bootleg stuff where – I might be under center or just moving the pocket. Instead of having a A-gap play action drop, maybe have a C-gap play action drop. There's a lot of ways you can move the pocket, especially with, these really good edge rushers nowadays. You kind of have to you have to find ways to create
change
more
their
time.
Angles
change their angles and create more time for yourself. Because it's really hard to throw the ball downfield sometimes when those guys have energy and get good jumps and stuff like that. It's hard to block them. It's really, really is. All
right, that's a great interview with Marcel Reed. We're going to hit a break. We'll come back with a final segment in the 9 o'clock hour before Billy Liucci joins us. Now, Milliken Reserve Time, Farm to Table community in College Station. If you haven't been there, you're missing out. It's a great place to be outdoors and hang out with your family. If you like hanging out with your family, that's kind of a place to go. You throw the ball, climb trees, go hiking, biking, canoeing. Just awesome to be outdoors. and it's beautiful, right? You feel like you're in nature. You see all the animals you can imagine, from the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles. They're all there. But if you want to buy property there, the neighborhoods are great. I'll tell you a little bit about the creek, home on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the hollow in a private and gated village, and you've got the meadows that are responsive to their natural surroundings. If it sounds like a place for you, check out the website, millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Let's find out what's popping on TexAgs today. Kayla Gaither at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
So before I get into what is on TexAgs today, just want to reiterate, it's always a good time to be a TexAgs premium subscriber because we are always putting out content on our site for premium members. Today on TexAgs, Billy Liucci has an article about some post-SEC Media Days questions to answer as camp nears. It's a really good read if you haven't read it yet. And then we have a Lunch with Liucci segment from Friday. We also have an article by Olin Buchanan about his SEC Media Days experience. We also have an interview with the Voice winner, Aiden Ross, from Friday's show, and then a Jason Howell article about 3 things as fall camp is coming, the 2027 class, and more.
Gaither, great job. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. It's TexAgs Live.
And we're back, I promise. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Should have Billy here in studio at some point today. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither. Some people were responding to the brand topic we had earlier.
Yeah, so we got a text in the Go Hour when OB was talking about what A&M needs to do to be a big brand in college football. So I'm going to read this text from David and Franklin. He said they need more than just wins. They need team awards, SEC championships, and national championships to be considered a top 10 brand in college football. Mike Elko himself said it. When asked how to motivate his team, he said, just look in the trophy case, it's empty. So David, what do you think about David and Franklin's text?
So let's take it in parts. Okay. First off, I already think A&M is one of the biggest brands in all of college sports.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting segue into what Trev Alberts was talking about. But most people would think, oh, USC.
Right.
Right? USC is they should be ahead of A&M. No. If I remember the order correctly, and I'll get it here in a moment, Texas is 1, Ohio State was 2,
and then A&M.
A&M was 3. Mm-hmm. But I ask you, why is A&M 3? Now, we're not talking about success on the football field, right? We're talking about brand, what that means, okay? So I'm just going to read you a little bit per our good friend, Mr. AI. So A&M is valued at $1.32 billion, the number 3 overall in the nation, number 2 in the SEC. Let's see. Their revenues consistently pushing past $260 million. And I know he's talking about football,
right.
and I'll get into that here in a second. Football valuation, independent academic finance evaluations peg the football program alone upwards of $1.59 billion. Only trailing in-state rival Texas within the conference. A&M outvalues traditional powerhouses like Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. And it says, why? Well, the donor and the NIL strength, the 12th man culture to go along with it. So that's the brand of A&M has never been better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know there's this social media thing out there that opposing fan bases will let you think that it's not.
Yeah.
It is, okay? And I didn't make up this list.
Yeah.
I didn't know A&M would have been 3. I didn't
know that either. It honestly surprised me when Trev was talking about it. Like you said, you would have immediately thought, oh, USC, oh, Notre Dame. But yeah, A&M at number 3. And it kind of goes to show that, yeah, A&M hasn't won an SEC championship or a national championship in a long time. The trophy case is empty, like Mike Elko said. But that doesn't hinder from the fact that A&M is still widely known and a huge brand because of outside factors.
So I got some more information. This is from CNBC. The valuation mirrors how professional sport teams are calculated, drawing hard financial metrics from the Department of Education, Equity, and Athletic Data. Aggregate revenues, media right deals. We know A&M has done great there with their Playfly deal and, of course, the SEC's deal, the donor and booster contributions, postseason payouts, and the football multiplier. So, and in the top 10, by the way, I have it here in front of me now, Texas, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Georgia, Michigan, Notre Dame, Tennessee, USC, Alabama, and Nebraska. So brand-wise, now we're talking about college athletics brand, right? And what the logo means. Football-wise, to sustain that is, I think, or it needs to be sustained success of reaching the postseason, which is why earlier in the show I brought up Oregon as an example. Like, Oregon hasn't punched their way through, but you pretty much know that they're going to win 10 games a year or be in the mix for that and be a playoff contender, if not in the playoffs every year. And with that, the executive editor, co-owner of TexAgs, Billy Liucci.
David Nuno.
How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. We were touching on A&M's brand, and it was 2 different parts. A, becoming a brand in college football that people buy into. Josh Pate had a little segment on who's like brands 10 years from now we're going to be saying is a top 10 brand in college football. But also bringing up what Trev said at PKO was from a brand, from an A&M as an institution, from an athletic brand, they're in the top 3 in all of college sports.
Yeah, and the plan is to ascend there, and they could be at 2 before too long. It could be, the Aggies and Longhorns at the top. It's very close to that. So I get what you're saying. It's 2 different things. And being a national brand helps everything. It helps your bottom line. Obviously, it helps you recruit in all sports, including football. The visibility, the how much you recognize it. You look at things like, even in the NFL, and you got guys like Myles Garrett and Mike Evans, Von Miller, representing that brand proudly, and everyone knows they're Aggies. Look at like an Alex Caruso winning a championship. Those all go into it. Just any time that ATM is visible and people know, talking about seeing anything to do with Texas A&M, it helps everything. And we sit here and we're talking athletics. It helps every sport, every coach, every recruiting effort. I tried to wear this shirt that was a little off maroon, so I wouldn't blend in. But of course, I'm on the darkest portion of maroon.
You want us to make it an SEC blue?
Sure.
I don't know if I just asked.
They probably
it's impossible.
They
I don't
probably
know.
could during a commercial or something. But anyway, it's my fault for wearing this shirt. But no, I think football. You're right. If it's a different kind of thing. You talk about A&M football. I think right now I think they're. It depends on you're talking about. You're talking about in the moment. Are they a top 15 brand? I feel like they are.
Absolutely.
Historically, I'd say probably more of top 20. But yeah, I think they're a top 15 brand right now. And that has a ton to do. It first started with the SEC and kind of making that move. And now lately, Mike Elko has done a tremendous job with it. Last year's football team has played a massive role. But like you said, you got to get there regularly.
Yeah.
You got to get there regularly. You got to make a run at this thing at some point. Maybe play for a title. You mentioned Oregon. They did. God, what? It was against Cam Newton.
Yeah, I was going to say
like 15 years ago.
2013, 14?
2010.
2010,
or 11, whatever it was. 15 years ago or so. And they've kind of been, they haven't been great ever since, but they've pretty much been a easy top 10 relevant ever since. They've had some years, they've gone through some coaches, but they went to the playoffs and beat Jameis Winston with Marcus Mariota. They won. So they played for the title. What was it then? They played for it twice, I guess. Did they? Am I wrong there?
No, you're right.
Check Oregon. They lost to Nick Fairley and Cam Newton, right? And then I'm pretty sure. And then I know they beat Jameis in the 4-team playoff. They pounded Jameis. I'm trying to think of who they. Obviously, they lost to an SEC game.
2010 and 2014.
Okay, who'd they lose to in 14?
Ohio State. They lost 42-20, and they lost to Auburn 22-19.
Yeah, and that was one they probably should have won. Cam Newton willed them to that one. But point being, they've played for 2 national titles. They've been in a couple of additional playoffs. Who'd they lose to? They got drilled by Ohio State, and then they got drilled by Indiana. They've been to the last 2 playoffs. So minimum, we don't need to do all the research, but a minimum of 4 playoffs in the last 15 years. And so, yeah, and that's, again, they've had some coaches dip. Taggart, Cristobal. They had Chip Kelly, and they had the guy after Chip Kelly that rode his wave for a second. So they haven't, it's not like they've had their Nick Saban. And so that's where you look at A&M, you'd love them to be.
They're like 3-3 in the playoffs all time.
Like an Oregon, where they're starting to consistently get there. But really, what you really want to be, obviously, is Georgia, what they've been. You want to be like a Clemson, what they were. You don't want to be LSU.
1 year followed
LSU's
by
been in the
mediocrity.
playoffs once. Now you want to have their national titles, but that's spread over 25 years and 3 different coaches. But since you've joined the SEC, you would trade for that one Joe Burrow year. Don't get me wrong, but year in and year out, LSU is not a playoff team. You're looking at who are the teams that are there year in and year out: Alabama, Georgia, somewhat Oregon. I think A&M. It's funny, like how much different are we talking about A&M and Miami if the Aggies win that football game? If they punch it in from the 5, would go to overtime, they win that game. I'm not saying A&M would have made a run to the final. They could have. They could have beaten Ole Miss. Of course they could have. Anybody that says they couldn't have beat a Lane Kiffinless Ole Miss, I think that's crazy. I think that would have been a shootout. Miami beat the brakes off of Ohio State. I mean, I think A&M. It's weird what it would sound to me. I said it all year too. I thought A&M would be a better matchup with Ohio State. I wasn't sold on them last year as being as great as people thought. Wasn't sold on their O-line. Wasn't sold on their run game. I thought a really good pass rush would get after Sand, which is exactly what we saw in the Cotton Bowl with Miami. They just weren't quite to the level. I think an A&M Ohio State game was a close defensive game down to the wire. But my point is, how much different? It's funny, though, because we're not talking that much differently about the two programs nationally.
No.
People that listen to this, you got the Aggie fans, you got the self-loathing Aggies that just don't think A&M can sustain it, and they're just like, I got to see it to believe it, which is a miserable way to be. And then you've got the A&M haters that listen. 2/3 of that group won't understand this because they think it's us talking. I would suggest to those 2/3 of the group to go listen to what everyone else around college football is saying, what everyone at SEC Media Days said, what the SEC preseason projection said, which is basically what everyone around the league is saying, what they're saying nationally, what the preseason polls are saying. They're going to have Miami, 6 or 7, and A&M in the probably 8 to 10 range. Mm-hmm. Like, they're kind of viewed pretty similarly. And I think Miami and A&M and OU, I've said it many times, and Ole Miss, but I just don't have faith in that one long term, even if they get back this year. But I think Miami, OU, and A&M are 3 programs that it's like, which one/ones of you are going to break through and be that team and become that college football brand? I know OU and Miami are always going to be a brand, but I just mean the current
landscape.
When people look at the programs and they go, man, there's Georgia, there's A&M, there's, I'm saying if they get in there, Georgia, A&M, Oregon, Indiana, I think has just rapidly forced their way through, Ohio State. And the other one that's interesting to me is Texas. Because we all expect them to get, and they're like OU and Miami, they're always going to be a brand. They're number one in the deal. They'll probably stay there. You're probably not pushing them out. They're always going to be a brand. But I'm saying, like, in the college football brands today, right now, they either shoot right up there, right at the top with a couple other teams, or what happens if they don't make the playoffs in 2 years in a row, like preseason top 3, they miss out altogether. Their brand is not necessarily going anywhere, but that is a big hit to their current program momentum. And I do think it would put Sark on a pretty warm seat going into the next, not like, hey, he's getting fired, but just dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction in Austin. And I'm predicting them to go to the playoffs. I wish I wasn't, but I am going to predict. I think 10-2. I think they're getting carried away. They think they're just going to roll through, but I think 10-2. But if they don't, because it ain't that much of a difference between 10-2 and 8-4, as they saw last year with overtime wins in Lexington and Starkville. A&M saw that 11-1. You escape Fayetteville, you escape South Carolina, 4th down play to beat Notre Dame. It is a fine line for everyone. So, if Texas were to not make it, I don't think he's on the hot seat risking getting fired in 27. But I think dissatisfaction within the fan base, the message boards, I think the people paying the money would be pretty high if 2 years in a row you don't get him being preseason number 1 and let's say preseason number 3 with the, you can argue it, you can lie to my face and tell me if you down there on the inside and think you want to correct me, feel free to text me. Your payroll's, I'm fairly positive it's over $50 million. Nothing wrong with that, but it is if you're the people funding that and you're not getting results. But I also think if you look at what they've got, and they can spend a ton of money in the portal, but I really don't see Arch Manning coming back another year. Camp Coleman, Gooseby, like all these, Colin Simmons, all these guys we're talking about, they're gone after this year. This is the year. This is why you see Texas and Sark pushing all in. So my point of all that is they don't make the playoffs. Where do they fall in the current brand in the, kind of like Q rating amongst the public, the media, and most importantly, recruits and transfer people. It's an interesting thing, but A&M, Oklahoma, Miami are the three I think that stand to gain the most. I think maybe OU, but I don't think A&M doesn't fall off the map if they go 9-3 and don't make the playoffs. OU in year 6 under Venables?
Is it that much?
It's at least 5. Check Brent Venables. It's at least 5. They got to get back. They got to get back. They got their quarterback. They're talking up this defense. They've allegedly changed things in the run game and the O-line. Like, they've got to get back because year 5 under Venables. So if you use one playoff in 5 years, I don't think that's what they want in Norman, especially considering that some of the off years have been pretty big dips.
I want to read this because I think this is aimed at the self-loathing Ags. So from PKO, Coach Elko talked about being excited about the direction of the program, everything trending in that positive direction. We have not gotten over the hurdle of winning what we're trying to win, but says it's okay to get excited and break through. Oh, is this real? Is this going to be okay, or are we going to be disappointed again? Reminding folks, enjoy the journey, which he did last year as well. But he's reminding us again, like this is fun. Let's enjoy it while we have it.
Well, I said it's the mountain thing for fans. I've said it before. Like you're climbing a mountain, and you can either climb it with the team and have some setbacks and have some times where you have to, what is it called, base camp, and you have to sit there and be patient. And it's a ton of hard work that goes into it, and you go with your team through the highs and lows, and then, or you can take the gondola up to the top and just be sitting there, or the tram, I guess is what you take to the top of the mountain, and just be sitting there when everybody gets there and go, man, this is fun. And you just won't enjoy it as much as the people that were along for the ride.
Yeah.
So, those people don't get on the tram until they really feel safe, where it's like the weather's clear, no wind, everything looks good. In other words, by then we all know that A&M's going to get there, and they shoot on up, and they're sitting there like, hey, here we are. And that's not fandom to me. That's not, to me, like, that's not fun to me. The fun part is this, and I think he's telling that it's okay. He said it like this, guys. It's okay to acknowledge that last year was a breakthrough season and that A&M football accomplished a lot of things they haven't accomplished in a long time, in some instances ever. It's okay to say that the program took a big step forward. You don't have to dwell on the last 2 games. It doesn't change the fact that, yes, they're
not happy with it.
They're not happy with the ending. They could have played better in the second half against Texas and against Miami, and they know it, and they left something on the table, and you'll never know like what it could have been. You could have skipped steps with the way that playoff was last year. Again, like Ohio State was not invincible by any stretch. Ole Miss certainly wasn't invincible without Kiffin and without well, they did have Charlie Weiss, but they weren't invincible by any stretch. So could have been something pretty special, right? But all told, like you don't have to dwell on that part and say it's got to get better. What did we accomplish? We all get that. Like, that's the whole point. Is it's going. You're committing resources. You're getting players. You're paying coaches for it to get better. That's the plan. So far, it has gone according to plan and then some. And you can enjoy the process of it going according to plan and actually exceeding, kind of accelerated curve. So,
by the way, it's not always linear either. Like, there could be a plateau or a little bit back, but where are you going over 5 years?
That's the mountain thing, remember?
Yeah.
The base camp.
Well, I think it's a different way of saying it.
It's the exact same thing said in a different way.
In probably a more
mountains
eloquent.
Even
more eloquent.
Why is it more eloquent that you're saying?
Because it came from my voice.
Because you said the word plateau.
Plateau, yeah, and dips.
Mountain's better than a plateau.
Oh.
Plateau's like
It wouldn't be a
chopped
mountain.
off mountain that nobody really cares about.
No, I think they care. They like to
Do they
climb to it.
name plateaus?
That's a good point.
I think they do, but
Yeah. Do they name plateaus? You want to Google that?
they name mountains. So anyway, point of all this, David, is you can enjoy the season it doesn't, you don't have to check in your sports knowledge card. Like, well, no, man, you got to get it done. You know, what did they accomplish? You didn't get it. Where's the ring, man? We got to win it at some point. Well, no bleep, what they used to say, something about Sherlock. Yeah, we all get that, man. But if you couldn't have enjoyed beating Notre Dame and racing out to 11-0, and even the games that you were supposed to win that were closer than they should have been, if you didn't enjoy those, and like, hey, we eked out one against Auburn, but it was fun that day, and you kept the winning streak alive, and you opened, SEC play with a win, whatever it was. If you can't enjoy those things if you could enjoy the build up to the playoff selection and all the talk about A&M, where they should be ranked down the stretch, should they be number 3, number 2? Like, when they lost a game, how far should they drop? When we were waiting to see the seeding and the build up to that Miami game and that final drive going down the field and setting it up to maybe tie it. Like, if you can't go back and say, man, they accomplished a lot, then I think you're judging this whole thing wrong.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back 25 and 25, number 25 on the other side. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. Farm and ranching families do think different. They're not just working for today. They're thinking about the generations to come. And that's why Heritage Films created Farm and Ranch Films, a division of Heritage Films where they tell the story about your farm and your ranch. They documented so many different types of stories, from timber farmer operations in Washington to cattle ranches in Texas and agricultural legacies across the United States. These aren't just documentaries. They're cinematic time capsules that capture the unique relationship with the land and a family. Make sure you reach out to Chance McClain and his team to tell your family ranch story, or just to tell your family story. Chance could be an eye in the sky and tell that your dad's story, your grandfather's story, your mother's story, whoever it may be. Visit yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com, or click on the farm and ranch part of the website. Call them up, 713-893-8341. It is Heritage Films. Everyone, David Nuno here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents, because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance, for major repairs, or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. The best song for what we were just talking about a moment ago during the break, Billy.
What was it about Nick swimming laps at the hotel pool?
No. I actually would have done
was
it
myself.
Was
it a lap pool or a regular
pool? Yeah, it was
pool?
a lap pool. Yeah, it was a lap pool.
It was?
Yeah. No, it was, the song's called Can I Kick It?
I'm just wondering, what did y'all do? Yeah, I got Nick over there probably in one of those swimming caps and a Speedo ripping laps at a pool that probably is not, it's probably a pool that people sit in and drink, and he goes in there and starts
Nobody
swimming,
was there.
Starts swimming laps like he's damn Michael Phelps. And then I've got you thinking you're Cuban Bruce Lee kicking a heavy bag.
Bruce Lopez. What's wrong with kicking a heavy bag?
Kicking a heavy bag.
What's wrong with that?
In a hotel gym. Just work out, man. Nobody wants to see some guy kicking a bag.
I'm sorry. It's 5:45 in the morning. Nobody was in there but one guy.
Paul Feinbaum, who talked about it on his show.
Yeah.
For the world to hear.
And now Paul would never try to fight me.
Yeah, because you definitely needed to worry about that.
Can we do 25 and 25, or you want to embarrass me more?
Go ahead. I'm not embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm not embarrassing you guys. It's like, hey, what did the TexAgs do? Well, one of them put a skull cap on and was swimming laps in the drinking pool, and the other guy was kicking a heavy bag in a tiny little hotel gym.
Who else can we make fun of now?
Me, because I went to the beach. I Ubered to the beach, got out, bought a $30 swimsuit at some surf shop, went by the Hulk Hogan store because I saw that. Posed with his NWO belt.
Did you post?
Oh,
Did
yeah,
you post
I got
it?
a picture. I'll send you all a picture. And then walked out to Clearwater, which is not Clearwater, which is disappointing. But I said, we're down here. We're going to get in the ocean. So I went out there, waded out, braved the sharks because it is Shark Week. I've been watching what's going on and where they're at. They're all over Florida.
Yes, they are.
More so on the Atlantic side, I would say, but went out there and just went out in the water put my stuff in my shoes and put a shirt over it and hoped nobody was going to steal it. Hoped I put it far enough back that the waves didn't wash it all in, and went out there and just went past the breakers and then kind of just solo body surfed my way in.
There you go.
Went and got a little grouper sandwich and went back to Tampa.
And you came during rush hour, right? Didn't you come back during rush hour?
Yeah, unfortunately, took about hour and 20 minutes. But if you'd seen my hair that night,
it was saltwater
hair. It was
yeah,
terrific.
On point.
Yeah.
Let's hit a break here because we wasted all that time making fun of people. Right now, we're talking Frutella Italian Cafe in Bryan. They are family owned and they're all about fresh food. If you haven't been, you're missing out. Homemade cooked craft with love in every single ingredient, from recipes passed down through generations to locally sourced ingredients. Every dish does deliver when you go to that taste of Italy. And what makes them unique is that signature Frutella. It's like a calzone, but fried to golden perfection, stuffed with marinara, mozzarella, and your choice of a delicious filling. They have daily lunch specials from 11 to 3. An awesome atmosphere. So when you go there, you're going to love the food. You're going to love the environment. Stop by Frutella Italian Cafe, 3901 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. That is 3901 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. And discover why it's more than a meal. It's a tradition. It's Frutella. All right, time for 25 and 25, presented by Paragon Financial Advisors, an Aggie-owned independent fee-only fiduciary serving families and business owners nationwide. Visit paragon-adv.com. And Billy, number 25 is Lamont Rogers.
Wow.
And
Interesting one.
I told OB, like, I had a hard time with this one because it's more projection more than anything else. And we don't even know if this guy's going to be a starter, but we expect him to play quite a bit. So that made it hard for me. But based on the way you've talked about him, that I know how they feel across the street, like, he's definitely a riser.
Yeah, he had couple things. First of all, if we're doing 25 players, there's room for projection and to kind of, otherwise we would just say, here are the 22 starters plus 3. The 22 starters plus your kicker, punter, and holder. Like, I mean, we're not doing that with this. There are some, it should be, when you combine like what you did, Olin did, I did, and the fans, it should be a mix of what you know, what you think you know, what limb you want to go out on. And I don't think Lamont Rogers would be considered a limb. Like, I think you're talking about a 5-star / borderline 5-star, depending on the service. You're talking about national top, I don't know what is ranked, probably national top 60 even last year. One of the top offensive line prospects in the country coming out of high school. It was an enormous get for A&M. He got here last year. He got himself over the course of the last year under Tommy Moffitt, he's gotten himself into much better shape. And then really went out in the spring, and I think was one of the guys, if I'm doing a short list of players who helped their stock, like, not that his stock was low within the program in terms of where he was going to develop and where he would be, but in terms of potential for the 2026 season, and you're talking about stock up, he was on a very short list. I've mentioned many times the type spring Terry Bussey was having. Like, there's a few guys on that list. It was a very short one, though, in terms of returnees. There weren't many that I think may have helped their stock more so than Lamont Rogers. Now, he's got a battle on his hands because you've got Wilkin Formby, who I'd be very surprised if he wasn't your right tackle. And then on the left side, there's Tyree Adams. And then, Lamont, I could certainly see Lamont. He may already be tackle number 3. Yeah. He might be competing for tackle number 2, which means a starting job. I think he will compete for a starting job in fall camp. So it's up to him and up to the competition on how high he could end up on this list, because he's going to get playing time in September, I think, if he has a good fall camp regardless. So maybe the 2 transfers are just further along than him, and they've played a bunch of SEC football, and maybe they end up being the guys. He's still, if he has a good fall that matches kind of the spring and that trajectory, you're going to have to put him out there just to see how he handles it and what he can do throughout September. So this guy's going to get chances early. His ceiling is freaking through the roof, just like it was when you recruited him. So nothing you've seen in a year plus has changed that. The only question is his timetable. That's the only question. And this guy, by the way, he's so big, he can still even get in better shape, but he's so big, he's so, like, agile for a guy his size, really, really long arms, light feet, and just a ton of size. If he can put it all together and just over the next couple of years get the body right and be ready for the next level, he's a high round potential guy at tackle. The other thing, he's one of these players on the A&M roster that we talk about who went in the portal, who you got from the portal, who you tried to get and didn't get from the portal. This is a prime example of who you kept in the portal. Okay, guys like him and Blake Ivy and Robert Bordon are 3 that really stand out along the O-line that were heavily pursued and tampered with. And this is not me crying. I know tampering is just part of the thing now. But just factually, heavily pursued and tampered with those three guys by teams that you will see on A&M's schedule this year in the conference. Like, they were courted and pushed really hard. So, again, a lot of people are well aware of the Lamont Rogers talent, none more so than Mike Elko and Adam Cushing. And I think this is a guy that, you know, it could be where we're a year away from him really making a statement on where he's heading, you know, in terms of his football trajectory, which to me is high-level SEC alignment on into the NFL. Or we could be looking at this by the end of the year and go, man, why? It's crazy we had him so low.
Yep.
So he's got a ton of raw ability and talent. But they got to – but this is what I love about what Mike Elko and Cushing and company did on the O-line. They said there's a lot of talent with those guys I mentioned. And guys like, you know, Thomas and McGuire and some of these young linemen, but we don't want to force it until they're ready. So we've got to go get 2 portal tackles and 2 portal guards and a guy like Cone Eccles that can be a swing guy. We've got to go get that in case any or all of these guys aren't quite ready. So the real question is going to be, how ready is Lamont, you know, when September rolls around?
I think this is kind of fits in with one of the quotes from Elko at PKO when talking about the big takeaway from spring, and it goes into the quality of players that they have. He says the quality of competition in our program, I don't know who the 22 starters are going to be, but it's not that I don't know because I am worried if we have enough SEC talent. I don't know which of the very talented SEC players that we have are going to ultimately rise to the top. And that goes exactly to what we're talking about with Lamont Rogers.
Well, and we talk about O-line, but you also, like, say, take, for example, the secondary. We mention all the usual suspects, but, like, okay, what about Brandon Arrington or Adonis Curry or Miles Davis, or at nickel, is it Jordan Shaw? You've got so many options at these positions, right? Is it Bryce Anderson? Can you move somebody over there? Is it a veteran that's been here forever, like a Bravion Rogers? Like, there are a lot of guys that you don't even talk about. We weren't talking about Jordan Shaw much until he came in the game and did a great job against Malachi Toney against Miami.
Elko talked about that.
You know, so there. Just look at it. Is it Julio Humphrey or is it Ricky Gibson? Because we're all, you know, when you sign a Ricky Gibson, you're assuming, and then Julio Humphrey says, no, I'm going to stay and I'm going to really bust my ass to get back to that player that picked Georgia out of high school and started at Georgia before losing that job. So depth and keeping players from leaving to create that competition and that level of depth that you need. And he mentioned that too. You, in the 9-game SEC schedule, now more than ever, you're going to need that depth. Absolutely going to need that depth. Because A&M, yeah, there's no Notre Dame, but you're still playing an ASU who, you know, was in the playoff a year ago or, you know, a year prior. You're still playing at Arizona State, and then you're adding a 9th SEC game. So it's still, even without Notre Dame, it's still much tougher than it was last year in terms of just simply put, number of games you have to get up for. This year, it's 10. Last year, it was 9. It's a big difference.
Well, I was going to say 2 of the teams on A&M's schedule that we just think automatically A&M should win, Arizona State, Kentucky.
Yeah.
We don't know because both those teams did excellent in the portal. According to 247, Kentucky was number 10 on there, and I thought Arizona State was somewhere on this. Yeah, 22nd. So they have 25. So we don't know how that's going to gel, which goes back to something else Elko said. Nobody knows.
Kentucky added like Nick Anderson from LSU. They've got the linebacker from Texas that he was a big deal as a recruit a year ago. They got Hurd from Tennessee, who a lot of people pick as a first-team all-conference tackle. Minchie, like Kentucky, I think they added quite a bit.
I'm looking at it. Nick Anderson, Brock Kaufman, Jacaden Ferguson, Elijah Barnes, the Texas
guy.
Bo Barnes, Xavier Daisy. An Ohio State guy. They added a lot of it. So back to the we just don't know.
Point being, when you're assuming When you're looking at the schedule and there's so many tough ones that you have to look at and just assume, okay, we'll beat Kentucky, Arizona State, and Arkansas at home because they're at home. Well, you better, because if you lose one of those, and they're not, especially those first two, they're not givens because there's some holdover in talent at Kentucky, first of all. And there's going to be a lot of newness and excitement for Will Stein and that group. And again, a quarterback that was in a real battle with C.J. Carr right up until the end in South Bend last year. And then in the case of Arizona State, Dillingham's done a tremendous job there. They've got a winning culture. They got some real players in the portal, including Kentucky's old quarterback who gave Texas all they wanted last year in Lexington.
Right.
And quite honestly, outplayed Arch Manning. That's factual. We can do a debate on that all day. There's no denying that, especially when you consider the two difference in the two defenses each quarterback was facing. So, yeah, the real wild card though is what is A&M playing like in September? What does their adjustment period look like in terms of what they've brought back versus what they've brought in and meshing all that rebuilt offensive line, that rebuilt defensive line? What do they look like in September? Because if it's an A&M team that puts it together pretty early, then I think those two games, yeah, I think they're just going to flat out be better than them. But if it takes a few games to kind of put it together and get it all to mesh in today's day and age of the portal, those could absolutely be tough games early season. You'll see it throughout the SEC.
Yeah.
You'll see it around college football. You just hope that A&M's not it. Now, and again, thank goodness those games are at Kyle Field and not in Lexington, where they'll be going crazy over a new coach, their first big game under new coach, or in Tempe, where you just don't have the 12th man behind you. And so, again, I think the schedule lays out nicely in September.
Yep.
But you have to be playing good football in September, which the Aggies were last year. So that's a good sign.
Go ahead, a break here. Final segment here on TexAgs Live. If you're looking for real peace of mind when it comes to your money, check out Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. No sales pitches, no commissions, just honest financial planning and investment management. And what really sets them apart is the over 9 CFPs, the CFA, and the CPA all on staff. They take their credentials seriously, and they work tirelessly to help you build a future that you can feel good about. Go to paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors.
Final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Nick Saban has some nice words to say about A&M and Coach Elko on the Pat McAfee show. And I'm trying to think back, and maybe Gaither can help me out here. Is Saban complimentary of everybody now? Like, the kind of compliments I think matter too. Like what he talks about with Elko, I think stands out to what we all have told you about what we've seen from him. But is he critical of people still, or not still at all? I don't know.
I mean, I don't pay attention to what, not in a bad way. Like, I just don't pay attention to a lot of like College Game Day on Saturdays, just being busy, and I watch a little of it, but not enough to know. I don't follow all of Nick Saban's content.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have no idea how to answer that question. I do think that no, he's not complimentary of everyone. He may not be critical of programs and coaches, but I think he would be selective on who he is complimentary of, to where his compliments still carry a lot of weight. And that, to me, is that's probably more how Nick Saban would do it. He is one that is never really, I don't think he just flows out compliments that he doesn't believe in.
Sure.
And I think his body language and facial expressions, he won't be able to hide things that he disagrees with when he's sitting up there on the panel. I think if you pay attention, you could see that as well. He just would probably choose to be quiet rather than say something. So my point is, if he's saying things, he believes them and he's observed them. And I think his opinions should still carry a hell of a lot more weight than most when it comes to analyzing and evaluating football and coaches and teams and programs.
So here's part of what he said on the McAfee show. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the country, scheme-wise, I think, and I think they've reloaded. I think they've got some really good players coming back. I think Marcel Reed is a really, really good quarterback who puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and I think they did a good job in the portal. They did a good job of recruiting. I think they're going to be one of the teams that people need to contend with in the SEC.
Yeah, and I think he's right.
I think
we've said all of those things throughout the offseason. And I think a lot of people recognize that, around the country and around the sport. Now, like Elko said the other day, like they have to go out there and do it. And they have to, again, like they can enjoy last year and they can enjoy the rise in profile and how the change in perception. But you can enjoy that and be proud of that. But also, you will not, and I think he talked about this, you will not sustain and maintain that and continue to build if that doesn't motivate you to work even harder. And it sounds like that's what he's most proud of the team for this offseason, is the leadership and what they've done, both on their own and in terms of when the coaches can be present.
Billy, thank you, sir.
I did.
Appreciate you. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Monday morning. Our thanks to Blake Toppmeyer from USA Today joining the show, Olin, and of course, Billy. We will talk to you guys tomorrow with another world-class TexAgs Live.